It's in New England that
Well,
there are, Walpole doesn't.
Walpole doesn't, hasn't done
And
it
Walpole's
for
thrift
15,
shop
20
will not
years.
accept this, that, and the other thing, because
There's no space.
there's no space, nobody wants a big old clunky television, nobody wants somebody else's microwave, so those people are either throwing it in the woods or paying for it.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock.
Oh my God,
Okay, here we go.
all right.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes,
Do the subcommittees first and try to do them fast and then go over the budget in general.
okay.
What are we doing? Where are we going?
Well,
Probably
let's go with the general government subcommittee. General government.
What exactly does the general government?
Well, and
subcommittee
with, that was
do?
the first thing we did while eating cookies at Sam's, Juliana and Sam and I. We decided that it was everything nobody else was touching, kinda. And we had more questions than anything, so we just wrote them out, and we've gotten a lot of answers to the questions. Some of the questions we asked last year, I just didn't remember what the answers were. I think, we've got to meet again, but one of the things, several things came up, which was, where did I write it? Fuel is listed under general government, and it's fuel for all the vehicles in town. And we're wondering if that can't, just kind of like the health insurance, got plunked under the department where it goes. Can't we track that by department at some point? Maybe not this year. Same with Comcast, general government pays for that. This is probably silly, but water, I'm assuming Linda means those water bubblers is all paid under general government, not, I don't know if DPW has their own bubbler. I don't know, that's a very small bit. But we asked questions of each other of, like, okay, library electricity, does the library pay us back? Nope,
What's the
they
fuel-
don't.
What's the fuel station?
Fuel station
That's what she was just talking about.
that is it, yeah, that's it.
And that's quite low this year. Gas has come down, but
Mhm.
the other thing that concerned me was that the electricity is already over budget.
And we asked if, the library, let's see, it just says library, what's that mean? So far, they spent $757.36. Well, that pays for telephone and mailings, and no, they don't pay us back. Apparently, 5 years ago, they approached the select board and said, if you guys pay for electricity and telephone and mailings, we could buy more books and have more programs, and the select board said yes. So that was 5 years ago, more or less. So this is a work in progress.
Did you look at the wages? They're really low.
Well, we did, and, even though we have nothing to say, the town clerk and the tax collector, the same person.
They're under separate places, aren't
They're under
they?
separate.
Right, we
Right.
did wonder why the deputy town clerk wages were so high, because we completely forgot that the first deputy left, moved out of town, and now she's got the second lady. And she's trying to, I talked to Gloria, she's trying to lessen this person's hours so that she's not over budget.
Well, the concern I have was the general government wages. First of all, what do they cover, since it's obviously not the tax collector or the...
Oh, I know this,
Well, hold on.
that was one of my questions.
They're low, but then when you look at the FICA and the medical, it's over budget. So something doesn't
That I
jive.
didn't look, okay, general government wages pays, someone to pick up the garbage here at the town offices once a month and to clean the town hall and the municipal offices once a week. And the janitor for the library is in here. But Glenn thinks that this 18K number is wrong, and he's gonna talk to Linda.
Looks it.
He thinks it's 12,000 over, so that's a big question mark.
Well,
He thinks it's a typo or something.
12,000 over may be his opinion, but you gotta annualize out that number. And if you look at last year, they budgeted for 6,500 in 2013, didn't quite spend it. Then in 2014, they were low but went over. But what I don't understand is that even if that number's right, it's the FICA wages are off. So you've gotta, whatever you put in that line, you should be able to figure out the percentage that needs to go into FICA and medical, and it has to correspond to what's in that line. It obviously doesn't this year because it's over, you follow what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Right.
So.
Actually, didn't know
there's
this, thank you.
at least one
I've looked
mistake
at
there.
this for 6 hours straight.
I was waiting for computer updates today and was reading this over, so.
Oh, thank you.
You know, and
So
plus
there
we know gas is down and has fallen, so, I mean, there ought to be some adjustment in here accordingly for the fuel station and heat, I would think, this year.
So, yeah, we just, I
Most
made a
of it came up with
spreadsheet where we have
questions.
notes, so I don't forget what these things are for, like general government maintenance and repairs, what's that cover?
Well,
Oh.
and buildings, there's
Buildings,
50,000
I know
different
this.
buildings
It's-
and they spend 4,000, so are we not
It's-
maintaining things?
And this
It's
is,
for improvements to a town building such as insulating a municipal building or replacing a roof. Whereas maintenance and repairs is like for furnace cleaning, oil and waste oil furnace cleaning, contract on copiers and security services, upkeep on fire extinguishers, and some maintenance on buildings that is not considered an improvement.
So is it the $15,000 stuff that would get, you know, the DPW guys would be doing, or is it stuff they need to subcontract out?
No idea, that's a good
And
question.
again, if we've only spent 4 out of 15,000, are we not maintaining things, or was there really not a need this year and somebody overestimated?
Glenn,
I think the.
Glenn
thing
has
is-
long felt that it's just not
We don't
getting done.
maintain.
We don't maintain.
Chris, do you have any insight into these expenses that are getting lumped to general government when there are things that are happening in various departments?
How we've always done it in the past. I think that's the answer.
Okay,
So
and,
if there were a recommendation to break those out, I think we absolutely.
I think fuel's gonna be the big one, I mean, the water bubbler can't. I mean,
right,
I don't think it's that big.
Where else do we use fuel other than DPW?
Police cars,
Police cars, fire,
ambulance, fire.
Oh,
furnaces?
I don't
Is
I
that-
don't know.
is that
No, I
heating
think
fuel
they
too?
know.
No, this
There's a
is-
heating oil line.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the actual
This is a-
gasoline.
So anyway, we dipped our toes in, and the one thing, I wish Jonathan was here, I think this probably keeps till next week. And then I thought, well, gosh, if we're all in our own little subcommittees, are we looking at things across the board?
Well, we should be.
We should be, so I made these sheets just for my own edification. And things like software and support, why isn't that 2 line items?
It's the way it's always been.
I don't like that answer,
I don't
Chris. Because we go over every year in software and support.
So, and this is in general government? I'm just trying to.
No, I went across, no,
This is
I
in
went back,
everybody.
I went back and I took it from everybody. So really, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 departments that have it, which is executive, town clerk, tax collector,
Yeah. and
treasurer,
police.
well, treasurer actually.
Yeah.
So we go over, so,
Some of that can be hard to separate though. We have certain contracts at the school district where we pay a yearly fee for something that's hosted and that includes the software and the support in one fee. It's not separated out, so some of it might not be able to
so
be
then why wouldn't it
separated.
be a known amount?
Well, I guess the.
If I call
the point is you can't-
Microsoft, because I'm paying them
Yeah.
however much.
No, I get it. I think certain things you can separate and certain things you can't, and so it'd be hard to make it 2 different lines, I think, but yeah, we'd like to
I
know
think I'd like
why.
to look at that, because it just
Well,
didn't make sense
yeah.
to me.
What Nick's saying is absolutely correct. What, may be worthy of a line item. To me, there are things that we have to pay. We have to pay the support for Munisoft, and we have to pay, there's sort of our licensing and
Costs, and then
support,
there's the
right?
per incident costs.
Right, and then we do have a number of IT contracts with various companies to provide support for our web services, which is kind of a joke. Support for our PCs in the offices and things like that, which is extremely high priced. I'd almost rather see a licensing and support sort of line item, a hardware line item, and then maybe a
Yeah, that makes
support,
sense.
something like that.
The other
Because
thing,
it just makes it hard for us to tell how much we're spending on it.
so unrelated, just because I was ruining a perfectly good day by playing on the computer, new equipment, I went through each department. So this year we budgeted 28,430. As of the beginning of this month, all departments haven't spent but $2,629.22. So why are we budgeting all this? I mean, stuff like that drives me berserk. That's that's $26,000 difference.
on cheddar. And on some of that, it went over. The new PCs to, I can't remember whether that was to support,
No, not on this,
there.
not on this one.
I
Nope.
I thought that was last year.
No, I think we had to.
Because then there's
buy-
repairs
we
and
had-
maintenance also, which is different.
We had to buy a new laptop to replace an old PC for Kelly use this year. I think that was this year.
Well, we have the
Well,
software
it
and
says
support
0.
that's over, but that's hardware.
Okay.
Advertising,
Yeah,
yeah, whatever.
but that's a valid question, yeah, why do we have all that money if nobody's actually using it? And that's where I come back to stuff we looked at last night, DPW tools, budget.
Yeah, and I
$2,000 a
looked
year.
at the DPW, there are 5 line items that they haven't spent a dime in 2 years and nothing this year. So why don't we just slash those puppies in half? I mean, when I added up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it was parks, new equipment, log inspection, sweeping, paving, dead trees, Freon, and DPW tools. I come up to 14,950. If we cut that in half, that's a 50%, 7,450. Makes sense to me.
When I was at the landfill today too, Mike asked if there was anybody who would be interested in helping going after some grants for signs for the roads, like bigger signs, like, you know, Workman and Road, slow down type of signs. So, I don't know whether that's a possibility too, so.
Yeah,
I could give that a stab this month.
yeah.
So let's try to formulate some recommendations here. We are concerned about the fact that in the general government, a lot of stuff is getting lumped together, which seems,
Mostly the fuel.
which should be, at least in our awareness, charged to different departments.
Would it be easier for you guys to do your job and easier for the selectmen to do our job, if we actually saw costs like that broken out by department? Is it easier for the voters to see what's being spent? I think so.
And I think it gives a true, just like health insurance, it gives a true cost of that department.
Yes.
I mean,
I think that's really important, to know what all the costs are for a department and not have, which is why we brought healthcare down to the
Yeah.
department level last year. Well, let's do it with fuel and
whatever else.
IT
And
or whatever
Comcast
else.
and drinking
Well, I
water.
think the big one is the salaries. We've gotta get the salaries. I mean, it may be in a department, but it's not in a line item. I mean, for Parks and Rec have their own part, but they're using DPW people, so.
Personnel, yeah.
Right, and so
Yeah,
the
we gotta-
people
There's gotta be
know
some
where this time is being spent and just understand what these guys are doing. It's not that they're not staying busy, but it is why do we see all these people? What is all this overtime? Well, maybe if you broke it up by department, by area that they are, right, their job,
Yeah,
one might understand. And then again, the line items on here might make more sense.
Who's doing the emergency management budget this year?
That'll be me.
Does the EMSG or the, going back to the subcommittee of this group need to be talking to you about that as well, so?
We can. I'd like to, I'm trying to schedule another cup of coffee with Clarence, go over some things he had in mind, but yes. you
For the
will.
budget?
Pertaining to budget stuff that's in here, yeah. And where his kind of ideas were on some of this stuff.
If it's pertaining to the budget, if you want to get anybody from our subcommittee involved, let us know on that, so.
Yep.
Okay, should we make, as a committee, a recommendation that these expenses that seem to go into a basket under general government should be broken out according to the departments that they belong to? Are we ready?
Let's start with fuel, yes.
Well, I mean, we can give them a list, and there may be compelling reasons not to do it, but,
I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to recommend. I can't tell you how long it will take to implement or how long,
That's,
how easy it will be to do, but I think it's a great idea.
I think we need to be very specific and say fuel and something.
Comcast,
We can't
maybe.
just fuel and things like fuel.
I don't wanna
You know?
add
I
the
would-
water bubblers until I know that's what
Well,
I was talking
that's
about.
pretty minor anyway, but,
I mean, if DPW's staying hydrated, that's good.
okay, well, I think it's the, you know,
Fuel.
fuel and wages, and, excuse me, fuel and hours. The hours they're working for each area.
They're trying, that's what Glenn's working on now.
He is.
So let's leave that
He-
one alone.
Well, he is working on it, but he is, there, it should be something that a system is set up. So it's not that some outside person has to work on it, it's that you clock in, you clock out, you clock in, you clock out. And just as with the fuel, that should be a piece of cake. It starts at 2345.7 and, you know, when I finish pumping, it now reads this, and that was pumped into a fire truck. That was pumped, it's the system, not as much the, you know, yes, Glenn's doing the hours, which is a huge amount of work, but it's the system of reporting how this is
There's a
being
little
used.
logbook
It's
right
the
by.
tracking, yeah. Well, this is exactly what I was talking about last week, you know. We
Right.
can't do any planning if we don't have the numbers for how we spent the money.
And where it's spent.
Exactly. What projects, what were these guys doing? How much fuel did they use? How much materials did they use? I mean,
How
it's
many
just-
hours did they do it?
Yeah, it's
So
a
as,
headache.
as an
So-
advisory committee, we are hereby
I'm
advising,
advising,
we are advising the select board to have the departments break these things down, hours, general expenses that are getting lumped into general government, but really can be reasonably assigned to different departments. Anything else that we want?
Job function.
For example, fuel and Comcast and drinking water.
And if they're working on food shelf stuff,
Right,
that should be broken out.
well,
Though-
breaking out hours.
Breaking out hours.
right.
Viola's pool stuff, break out the hours.
Okay,
Parks
is-
and Rec, break out the hours.
Is this clear, Priscilla, for?
It is, but, you know, I think it's not something that's gonna be very effective, you know.
Well,
I mean, we can recommend and they'll agree and nothing will happen.
well, I think that we can recommend
Well,
it,
that's
then when we
Oh, gee,
meet
that's
with,
optimistic.
No, I mean.
when we meet with each
everyone's
department, we'll ask them, okay, now specifically, how much is your drinking water and how much of the share in general government is your share of Comcast and how much of the fuel is your share?
And those
I
are
think the
totally,
selectmen are ready to do this. I think, what you say that nothing happens, but I think they are, there was some talk about it.
I'm
Last night.
not faulting them, I didn't mean that as a slam
Yeah,
against
yeah,
the
but-
select board. I just mean that we don't have the actual, I think, software systems in place to capture this data.
But you know what, stuff like time spent, or how many gallons you pump into a vehicle, you don't need software
The
system,
vehicle
you
part
can
should
write
be
it down the list.
Right.
I know,
The-
but we don't have the list.
It's,
Okay.
well, not even that, even if we did have the list, do you have the manpower to do something with it? You know, you go through this budget, and there's a couple places where there's very obviously mistakes, where there's negative numbers, you're dividing by zero, and you have to wonder if the department heads have the time to look this over, or do they see this on a regular basis? I happen to be here today, and Penny Gendron was up questioning one of the things because she knew that some of the wages for the police department were in the wrong spot.
So, I mean,
So that was a good thing to say.
I would rather put it to the subcommittees and say, you know, what is the most, you know, what aspect of the department you're looking at is the most important to monitor in detail, and how do you propose capturing that information? Even if it's just, as Donna said, it's a slip of paper saying, you know, in a table format, date, time, number of
In, out,
gallons, vehicle name.
function,
you know.
Yeah, or
What-
vehicle name.
But I think we have to help the select board. I don't think we can just say, we recommend that you do it, because we got more manpower here, we've got
Well,
committees.
yeah, I'm not
So-
saying that but I'm saying we should recommend to the select board, and then in our specific work with each department, we will do that.
Okay,
There's also I'm,
Somebody's
You
at
need
the
Chris.
door.
there's also,
Marge,
I need to talk to Marge.
Marge.
It's Karen.
there's also the fact that the guys on the fire department are also employees of DPW. And when there's a fire, DPW guys, work stops because they're going off to fight the fire. So, there has to, and David can make up his own sheet.
Well, he hasn't.
Yeah.
Well,
But I think
but
we
he
can-
can be told to do
I think
it.
we can
He
help
hasn't
him.
been told to
Yeah.
do it.
I think, well, keep.
We can recommend that the selectmen ask him to do that. Can we do
Well,
that?
I think we can also make the system, say this is an option.
This is
So
the
that-
kind of data we
that
think we
I,
need.
I am coming in and today I'm on the schedule for 5 hours. And before not David, because I'm working, when I leave, of those 5 hours today, 2.5 were for DPW and 1 was for
Parks and
parks
Recreation.
and 1 was for the transfer station. And I can do that because I should know where I was and that card goes to David and
And then all the cards go to Linda.
all the cards go to
payroll,
Linda.
And she can enter it in the
Yeah,
proper line.
I think we're at,
Going.
this is something that we shouldn't be discussing tonight, but I think what we're expecting of the department heads and of Linda is way more than any of them have time to do. And I think if we want the data, or the select board wants the data to start, then we're the ones that should be crunching those numbers and looking at it. Because I think you have to decide, if you have limited amounts of manpower, where do you want them to put their emphasis in terms of what's the big ticket items? If we need that data to really look at how we're doing stuff, then we may need to
Well,
crunch the
fuel
data.
and
Well,
wages
wait a
are
second.
big ticket
Last
items.
year,
I
we
agree.
spoke to David and said, how many man hours does it take to do this task? How many times a week, month, year
Yeah,
do you do
that was
the
a great-
task?
I know.
And we had total hours for a task.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just what it should be. It doesn't tell us
Because
what
that's the way it should
is.
be. I agree
Exactly.
with you.
Rest-
I would love to see the data, but I don't think the staff that we have has the time to do anything with that data.
We may be collecting it already, and this is a point I keep coming back to, and I haven't been able to provide it, but Joel put a pilot program in place. Smartphone-based app that the DPW guys, I believe, are using to track where they're spending their time, and I've asked him about it a couple.
Get it to us.
What do you guys need it for? I mean, you're only dealing with numbers, budgets, and hours, right? I'm pinging him again right now to say, please, can I see it? I think I've seen something from that 6 months ago, and I've never seen anything since. So,
Hopefully we'll have something on that next week.
yeah, and I'm not advocating that as the right solution, I'm just saying that's something that
It's a
was
big-
tried, and there may be some data.
It's a
Okay.
beginning and it's data, which unlike what we have now.
But what are they
Fine.
doing with the information? Where's it going?
Yeah,
Just
where,
say
where,
not-
like,
Yeah,
how does
that's
somebody
good
know how
stuff.
much to pay
We're
Brad?
paying this or whatever, but where's the
Brad's sending
information?
his hours to whom?
And is this,
I don't know.
has it been in effect for 6 months? And
I don't know.
Where's all?
Okay, it's about 23 minutes after 8.
Did you see that?
Are we, or are we not gonna make a recommendation about asking that these
Yes.
figures be
I
broken
say we
down?
do.
Okay,
I make a motion.
The feeling in the room.
all right, all in favor?
Wait a minute, what?
Karen had a comment, did you see that?
Who?
Did Karen, I didn't know if you wanted to call on her or not.
Sharon,
I just had a
Karen,
comment,
Karen,
that I just thought it was a good idea, because if you break down in certain tasks, one thing that was brought up last night is, the question of considering subcontracting certain tasks, to outside entities could be more affordable than paying, town employees to do it. For
Right.
example,
Were there any specific tasks mentioned?
Mowing,
Mowing.
mowing,
We talked about that.
Well,
About getting-
apparently they think it's gonna be tough on the equipment. because it's
Let's
so
talk
overwhelming.
about, making sure that Priscilla knows what we just voted on.
Oh, no, what the motion was. What did you
What was-
make a motion about? What did you second? What did you?
That we make a recommendation to the
That we,
board.
that we recommend to the select board that these things be broken out in detail.
These things.
These things being labor, on different,
Let's just say
Our-
labor and fuel.
And
labor, fuel, and
Enforce it.
Comcast were the specifics.
Water.
And water,
Okay,
drinking
Just
water.
leave water alone, until I talk to
No, we
women.
might as well get it in there.
I'm not sure that, she said water, I took it to mean bubbler,
Yeah.
I have another question, there was
it's
one,
under supplies.
a line for just insurance, what is that? It's
Where are you?
$25,857
Oh,
for
page?
insurance.
No.
Where are we?
Page 7.
No.
Oh, wait, we're looking at different
I mean,
things,
maybe
Here
so
we are.
one person's page 7 is not
After we
another
decide what
person's.
we're voting
It's,
on.
Under which department?
Before police,
Oh, I don't have it on my thing today.
before police or part of police?
before police,
My
Okay.
page 7 is the police. Insurance, gotcha.
it just says insurance, and it's almost $26,000.
And that's under
That's
general
the building
government?
insurance.
Is that
Yeah,
building
probably
insurance?
property or
That's
liability or
probably,
something like
yeah.
that. But that's probably,
Probably for town properties.
Another question I had,
Page 7.
this could be just my ignorance, but why are we over on the school district taxes by 400%?
because of when they get paid, most likely.
Okay, you're right, I don't think we have insurance under, I thought we picked up everything that it didn't
General
appear anybody
government.
else was looking at, but good
Insurance
catch.
in general government.
There isn't really a general government. You kinda, I mean, there are some things that say GG, but then it looked like there were things that nobody else, it didn't fall in somebody else's basket, so we tried to pick them up. Okay, I'm gonna add insurance to this and figure that out.
Couple of other minor things while we're talking about the budget in general, the treasurer, the service charge checking,
Oh,
that
yes!
is not going to be fixed. It was a mistake that an employee made. They sent a letter to the state, and the state basically, from what I was told, the state said, sorry, your mistake, you're out of luck. So it will not be
Oh.
reimbursed as they thought.
Because I
Because we're
have, I asked
wondering why that was
Sam to
so high.
check that.
I had asked about that a while ago when we were talking about the treasurer. The other thing too is there's a couple of mistakes in here that have been in here for months on end. Like the health insurance, there's a negative number. FICA and medical, zero requested. The number's obviously entered in the wrong spot. Yet it's been that way and it hasn't been fixed. And I think those kinds of things, people need to be encouraged to fix the mistakes.
Yeah, we have several questions that.
Okay, are we gonna go beyond 8:30, which we can do if we decide?
You know what we do need to do before I do the postcard? It didn't get out because the computers crashed. Because the selectmen want to put the important dates, if they, on the front, if the post office will let us, do we need to re-vote on the postcard?
No.
No, our message we approved.
Right, but it's coming from us.
Do you have a draft of it?